It's hard to talk after lunch, right? So, sino sa inyo gusto mag-swimming? Swimming? Raise your hands. Raise your hands. Swimming, okay. Mag-bike? Tumakbo. Okay. So again, I'm Patrick Joson. I'm a triathlon coach. I work with the Triathlon Organization, which is basically the Triathlon Association of the Philippines. I sit in their board. I develop triathlon programs specifically for kids up to adults. But I do have a brand. It's called JumpStart. So I'm here to talk about JumpStart and how it connects to the common people, me included. So I want to start my talk with a famous, simple quote, which basically we all know. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step, right? We all know that. We've seen that so many times. So what's the part of the next step? Number one is showing up. So, round of applause for everyone who's here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for not leaving after lunch. And by simply showing up. And the second is acceptance. Whether you accept or not, we don't know, right? But it's better, it's easier if you accept. So that's the two main ideas of any journey, whether it's a journey of physical activity, whether it's a corporate pursuit, whether it's art or education. The first is you have to show up, and second, you have to accept. That's basic, right? So this is my brand. When I started doing this back in mid-2005 or 2005, we were just a few coaches to start with. So it took me a while to develop the brand. So the brand is basically called JumpStart. I focus on endurance sports. So I didn't want to do health and wellness in terms of the general sense. I'm very specific into sports. So that's what we're going to talk about. It's really about getting into sports. Now they say you leap from or you jump start. My goal is to start you on this journey of a healthier and fitter you through sports. So I may do Zumba sometimes, but I don't teach Zumba. Okay? For the men out there, okay, find another Zumba instructor. So we all have formulas, don't we? Right? We're corporate people here. I took business also in school. I took a few courses in sports management and a few other things. So I'm familiar with formulas and charts, flow charts. So this is my formula for a 20-minute presentation of what I do and how I do it. So at the end of the day, it's JumpStart Sports. It's equal. It starts with my formula, the endurance formula. I do three basic things: education, events, and CSR. So obviously education, we teach people how to swim, bike, and run. Events, we create events. Most of the time, those are social sporting events. So there's a thin line between competitive events and there are what we do, which is called the social event. So it brings people together for camaraderie, for higher purpose. A good example is or are marathons. Those are running. And when you think about it, only a small percentage is going for the top 10 or the winner of the marathon. The 90% of the participants of the marathon are there just to participate. So that's basically what we do. We create events for my company. And third, we do CSR. So when we do CSR, this brought about the CSR only because to be able to do these events, you need to have good relationship with your venues and the LGUs. So we made it a point to work with them closely, not only through our events, but also through CSR by giving back to the society. So we may do small CSRs in certain select provinces, but we do it in a way that it's more felt. So later on, I will explain how. So basically, endurance formula, it's divided into three things: education, events, and CSR. It equals into the 4 or the 5 sports that I do: triathlon, swimming, biking, running, and adventure. When you say adventure, it could be trail, mountain bike, or just plain exploration. Then it's multiplied. Sorry. Then it's I'm grateful enough to be in a situation, and also I was in the sport early enough to be trained by wonderful institutions and mentored by different organizations. To start with, I was trained by the ITU, the International Triathlon Union, as an elite level coach and also an age group coach. I'm currently part of the Asian Swimming Coaches Association under the Finnish company. Then I said I took further studies for advanced sports management under the Philippine Olympic Committee. Then now I'm part of the Triathlon Association of the Philippines. So hopefully we change the landscape of sporting organization and how we manage sports. Then again, it's multiplied through these brands. These brands are integral in developing sports or health and wellness. Because again, it takes a village to raise a child, right? It takes a village to raise an athlete. So you need companies. To start with, I'd like to give thanks to Mizuno. They've been my sponsor since I started in the sport. Lightwater, Garmin, Colnago is a bike brand. Life Science is a institution that develops fundamental medicine. They say that by understanding your gene, understanding your food intolerances, you go to the root causes of illnesses and you age properly. That's basically what they do. Finis is the swim brand, and A-Game. A-Game is a pharmaceutical company. So that's my formula. These companies help me do what I do that help other people. Then again, it's multiplied by the things or the groups that I'm affiliated with. So first, I'm part of the Fitness First Triathlon team. I am a proponent of Mizuno Squadron. So we've been doing this since 2004. We are the pioneer in creating run school to develop more people, to get more people running. Then last year, I was the coach for the TBR. Those who are familiar with the Dream Marathon, that's the only marathon designed for beginners. So that's the goal. The goal is to get people to realize their dream of the 42, of the marathon, running the marathon. This year, they're doing it in Philinvest, so it's closer to us. Hopefully everyone is familiar with it. Then on 4th, I do corporate wellness programs. So this is, I guess, why I was here. So I started my corporate wellness program with, sorry, I forgot to put the company, Gatorade, Pepsi Cola. So I started with them only because there wasn't any back in 2005. There wasn't any corporate wellness program during that time that I know of. I may be wrong, but back then I didn't know anything about corporate wellness program. Their first objective for me was to teach their executives how to run. Because basically they run a Gatorade company, they run Pepsi Cola. They're always in events, but very few of them join races. So the goal was simple enough to teach their executives how to run. Then later on, I moved to different companies from HSBC to fast cargo, and the last one is Fleur Daniels. So as I posted my talk today, the executive from HSBC told me that back in 2016, they were the winner of CEO awards, and he told me just now that I could have put it in my slide, but he told me that that program made them. It was a critical factor for them winning the employee award. So that's something that is something nice to know. So basically, this is the science of what JumpStart is all about. So obviously, everything's boring. Science is boring, right? We deal with the art now. So enough with the method. Let's talk about me, because I need to talk about myself first before we go into the more juicy part, right? So again, I'm a triathlete. I like to swim. I like to bike. I like to run. It's critical. My wife is here. Mary Chris. It's critical that your wife or your partner is into what you're doing. So it's integral that they're part of it. Again, it takes a village to raise a child, right? It takes a visa or permission of the wife to do triathlons, because triathlons are viewed as very risky. And again, from Richard, quoting Richard, that's a crazy sport, right? Not very few people do this. But again, I make sure I do my part as an athlete. I do my part as a husband and a father. So I have a huge interest, and I'd like to think that I'm very passionate, basically in discovering and sharing. So this brought about other brands. For example, this picture, this is in Baler. This is halfway to Kasiguran. That area is called Tinajawan. So this is what you can see. It will be the next destination. I don't want to say names because I don't want to be quoted on it, but it's the next destination in the north. So as you can see, I like to share my passion. I've been an editor-in-chief for 11 years with Inquirer. So it's really because I like to share my views, like to share what I see, when you walk and when you run. When you walk and when you bike, you discover places that you can't discover on a car or on a. It's really different when you can smell and see and hear things on a slower pace. So as you can see here, this is the Bull Runner. This was last year. It's really about engaging and empowering and educating people about it. The picture above, I don't know if you can see that yellow board. It says highest point. Who of you know the highest point in the Philippines? You can raise your hands. Yeah, highest point. The highest point is 7,400 meters above sea level. 7,400 feet, feet. Yes, that's 2,000 something meters. That is in Atok, Benguet. That is the midway to Sagada. That is Baguio to Sagada. So I have a company that does events. It's called Fondo Manila. Fondo cycling is the marathon of cycling. So we do that, and we bring people and fulfill their dreams. Tick off their bucket list. Do their dahil list. So that's what basically we do. We do it through sense of passion, discovery, and sharing. So this is my team now. It took me a while before to put things together. This slide, I just did it yesterday because it took me a while to understand and to internalize what to share to you. But basically, this is my training methodology or philosophy. Everything starts with technique. Then it progresses to training, and it goes to planning. I need to be able to connect to to everyone in general, not only to corporate people. But I guess in any endeavor, there must be technique, right? There must be training, there must be planning. And that's where the nitty-gritty comes in. So technique is basically the manner of doing things. You may use a methodology, whether it's scientific, as long as you're consistent with it. I'm not advocating that use my methodology. I'm saying that you must have a technique. Your technique must be validated based on logic, and it must be consistent, right? Training, it's simple. You just have to keep on doing it. It's repetition. You need that diligence to do things. That's how we connect me being a athlete, being a sportsman, and you soon to be athletes, hopefully. But now, corporate people, they say that the new smoking, raise your hands, who smoke? The new smoking is sitting. Okay. So we want to change that. We're talking about health and wellness here. Sitting is one of the most critical part of being inactive. Again, planning. When you think about planning, it's simple as sticking to the plan, knowing when your races are, knowing when your vacations are, when to step back, when to push further. It's all about that. Again, you can use methodologies. I don't want to be scientific here to tell you the methodologies, but we do have methodologies that is tested through science, that we've validated for several years. And that's basically what we do. So just to give you an example, this is the current team that we have. I asked them a few questions. Learnings from the sport that you apply in the workplace. Lailani Tan, a bank officer, mother of 2, 3 years in the sport. Goal setting, that's what she said. Very important what she said. To exert effort and sustain so that you don't burn out. Just makes sense, right? What I'm saying is that Lani, by the way, placed 3rd in her age group just last Sunday. So she is consistent in placing within the top 10 of her age group. So it's not something impossible. It's very doable. You can do this. Second, notable achievements. Her name is Inge. She's Italian, but German descent. So Swick, that's her pronunciation of the family name. She is a sommelier, basically a wine expert, and a mother of 2, and 3 years into the sport. Again, of all my students, she's the most competitive. So you can see from her mentality, she did a marathon in 10 months, podium in the first 2 sprints, and placed 4th last Sunday. So how do we sustain this? Again, based on them, excuse the picture, we need to, it's midday, so I need to get your attention. We dream, we plan, we execute. So how do you see yourself from 5 to 10 years from now? Bambi said, having good physical and mental health, having challenging and corporate responsibilities, and able to maintain work-to-life ratio. That's basically the whole thing, right? And we had her, Martina. I asked her a simple question. How was your first race? She said that she started by thanking God. So that's very Filipino, or very... it's ingrained in our culture. So basically, I want to end my talk with success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts, by Winston Churchill. So we may win podium finishes, but at the end of the day, we're all equal, and we will make failures. We will fail. We will get bigger, but the whole idea is to keep on doing it. I still have a few seconds. I will show you a little more. So this is basically JumpStart. You can follow us in Instagram. That's my email if you want to shoot me an email on any queries or comments. Again, this is my brand, Fondo Manila, discovering road sharing stories. This is at the Atok. I like to dream. I'm privileged that our photographers took that photo. So I can share you while I'm dreaming in my dream. Next, we collaborate. Remember CSR? So we did the CSR. That guy over there wearing gray, his name is Antonio Oposa. He is the... Yes. He's a really good environmental lawyer. I mentored under him for the Share the Road movement, which earned us a recognition. I was privileged enough to be awarded a recognition back in 2015 for my job or for my collaborations with Share the Road project. This was awarded in Malacanang under Secretary Neric Acosta. So again, this is my dream, to be able to continue doing this and share it with others. So this is my son. I brought my son. My wife couldn't make it. That was in Kalayaan Hall. So that is my Ironman. Eating ice cream in Cannon Road. Priceless, right? Climbing Mount Pulag with back then she was still courting. No. She was. We were still together then. We weren't married then. So the guy over there is Leo Oracion. Leo Oracion is the first Filipino Mount Everest summiteer. We were privileged enough to be with him during our climb, and I just added that photo because I used to have a six-pack, but not anymore. So I hope to bring that back. So hopefully, thank you.